In this video, we're going to be solving equations that require only one step in order to find their solution. So for every equation, you're trying to figure out what the value of the variable is, so in this case, x. And in solving any equation is basically a game to try and get that x by itself, or in other words, get rid of all of the sums, all of the operations that are with the x. So if we want to get rid of a plus 8, what we'll need to do is the opposite of that. So we need to take away 8 in order to make that plus 8 disappear, and you will be left with an x. Now, in order to make this still have an equals in the middle, we have to also do the same to the other side. So we need to take away 8 from the right-hand side as well, leaving us with 15. So x equals 15 is then our solution to the equation. In the next one, we have this minus 9 that we need to get rid of, a take away 9. So in order to do that, we have to add 9 to make it disappear. We have to do the same on the other side in order to keep the equal sign in the middle. You will have an x left over on the left-hand side, and you will have a 26 on the right-hand side, and that's you've solved it. For the next one, we have a 3x, which is the same as 3 times x, or x times 3. In order to get rid of a multiplying by 3, we have to divide by 3. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. I choose to write it over as a fraction there, but you could use a divide sign as well. If we do that, we will end up with only a single x on the left, and on the right-hand side we have a 12, and we've solved our equation there. The next one, what's with our x this time is an over 4, which is the same as a divide by 4. Same as a divide by 4. And in order to do the opposite of a divide by 4, we need to multiply by 4. So we've got to multiply both sides of the equation here by 4 in order to get x by itself. If we do that, we're left with 1x on the left, and on the right-hand side, we end up with 32. So that's a solution to that one. Next, if we have 11 plus x equals 42, we are trying to get rid of this 11 that is before x. Now, 11 plus x is the same as x plus 11. There's an invisible plus before that, so we're trying to get rid of a plus 11 effectively, which means we're going to take away 11 from both sides. If we do that, x will then be on its own, and on the right-hand side, we'll end up with 31. Solved. The next one, we have half of x. Now, there's two ways of writing this. Half of x can be written as x over 2, or it can be written as half times x. Whichever way you prefer to look at it, it's correct in both ways. Depending on which way you look at it, you will think of the next step differently. If you're thinking of this, then you would double both sides to get rid of this over 2, or get rid of that divide by 2. But technically, you could also, if you're looking at it this way, instead of multiplying by a half, you could write this as divide by a half. Now, normally, I'm going to pick this way of doing it, just because it's multiplying by 2 is nicer than divide by a half, but both are technically the same. So if we multiply both sides by 2, that half x will turn into a whole x, and our 6 will turn into 12. The next one, we have on the right-hand side this time is where our letter is, but it doesn't really matter. You can, if you want, rearrange this straight away, so the x is on the left-hand side. If you prefer to do it that way, that's fine. But the steps I'm about to show you, you could have just done here in order to solve our equation, except you would have had, instead of it being x equals a number, like that, it would be a number equals x. But it's the same thing. We're trying to get rid of a takeaway 7 here, so we need to add 7 to both sides in order to leave our x on its own. And then 24 plus 7 will give us 31. So that one's solved. And lastly, again, we've got the x's on the right-hand side. I'm going to leave them there this time. Like I said, it doesn't matter either way. 7x is the same as 7 times x, or x times 7. So we need to divide both sides by 7 in order to make that 7 disappear. And then on the right-hand side, you'll be left with x. And then 84 divided by 7 gives us 12. Done.